welcome to Bonbons and Bonbons. I'm Maryam.
And I'm Wyntrice.
I'm Maryam.
And I'm Wyntrice.
And we're doing this because we love each other. And we wanted to have deeper conversations about friendships.
I guess we talk a lot about romantic love. Love, romance. But what I've come to learn in this past year is how much of the friendships that we have help us practice love. And I won't say practice in the sense that, the test is romance. But I think friendship is where you learn love.
Yeah. I think the exploration of like our own friendship with some others in the group, I think that's brought up like the truest me that like I've known, that's provided me like almost like a way for me to exist in other parts of my life as like the real me.
Okay, something that's going on in my mind right now is I was talking to my brother and then he was like, oh, everybody wants to do a podcast now. So that's a bit of like a limiting like voice I keep hearing in my mind.
Yeah.
Because of like, then what? Everyone has friends, right? I hope. But what's so important about what we are saying about friendship?
I mean, I think this is part of like the conversation that we were having last night, right? Our why in doing this. And I think I go back to the why that we had for like Love Fest itself. I mean, for context, Love Fest is a circle that we want to organize for friends to facilitate deeper conversations among friends. As in, sometimes I think people get into friendships and they don't even realize why they are friends or like what it is that they admire most about their friends, right? So like we hope to do that one day for like other groups of friends, because we had that conversation with our friends right in this space randomly during dinner. Yeah, and like it just on a very cold night. Yes, and it just came out so spontaneously and so beautifully, like, and it was such a enriching and nourishing moment to like have what your friends admire about you being said, and then to also express like your own admiration of your own friends. I feel it's kind of like our contribution to art, no? And like this is
well now. Okay, no, but it's just me like my inner critic playing out right now.
I feel like it's important to like I'm at a phase in my life where other people's opinions and like don't really matter that much as to why I want to put something out. I feel like there's like a part of me that is just like, if I am desiring to put something out, it means that it is desired to be listened to, and like my work is as valuable as yours, and it's as valuable as your brother's, it's as valuable as like, like all of our other friends. It's like we have to, and also like we have to make bad art in order to like have good art in the end. Like nobody became, like Picasso didn't become Picasso until after his death, right?
Yeah, I was like, I feel like Picasso's going to be coming up as an example.
Yes, thank you. See, and like, and yes, okay. And last night I was telling you that I feel that we both have a very interesting creative synergy. And I say that in the most like earnest,
endearing,
and like
way.
in the realest way of like what those words mean, right? Somehow you meet people that and like they come into your life and they enrich your life. That's one. And then maybe you become friends, but then sometimes like the friendship evolves into something more, which turns into like a creative partnership, and that's even more exciting, right? I have no idea where this road will lead us to, right? And like I'm not focused on that. I'm focused on like what we are creating right here.
Now.
Yeah, and right
the
now.
Present moment.
Yes, and in the conversations that come out. Why are you doing this, Win?
Why am I doing this right
yes.
now? I want to do something fun with someone I love.
Okay, and why did you, like out of like our friends, why did you ask me to do Love Fest with you?
That's a good question.
Right?
Yeah. Throughout this whole year, we were definitely talking a lot about love. And then...
Like us? Or just in the group?
No, as in like our own love life.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then how I remember that one month where every Monday I would meet you. Somehow every Monday I would meet you, and for context, I was having dates on Sunday. I'll go through whatever I was going through and I process with you on Monday. And I think this was the whole of March. Every Monday in March I'll be meeting you somehow.
Okay.
Yeah, and I feel like through that it became a bit more obvious of like, wait, why not talk about the love between friends when we are in our girl gang, and then people from outside sort of like see us interacting. They always like, oh, how you all must have been friends for like years, and then we are like, actually
from past lifetimes, but like
past lifetimes ago.
Yeah. So actually, we met first in August 2020. I don't think we were maybe like hi. We said hi, maybe?
Not really. And I was like, remember throughout the whole of like Voices of the I was like masked up, so like no one really saw my face.
Yes, that's true. And I remember, I think like my first, like I remember like meeting you, and I think you said at one point during Voices of the Wild that you felt like running out of the room, but then you didn't, right? I
first session of Voices of the Wild.
Yes.
Cecil.
Yeah, so I think the facilitator was our friend Steph. At that point, not really friends. Friends for you, but then not really for me. Like I sort of knew her because I went to her classes, her yoga classes, and she invited me for. She had invited me for some events that she had done, and then as well as for Voices of the Wild. And I remember that she gave the prompt that at any point that if we felt overwhelmed throughout the process of that circle, right? Like we could like step out of the room. Yeah, and I remember during one of the reflection, and you said like you felt like going out and you didn't.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay, like that's actually really brave to like admit, right? To know that you have that desire, but then like, and then not follow through on that.
But I also could have been the people pleaser part of me that was I don't want to make people angry.
Yeah. I mean, whatever. Like we've evolved since then.
Yes. yes.
Fate also brought us together on New Year's Eve of the same year of 2020, right?
Of the same year.
Yes, and you were facilitating that session with Steph.
My first time.
Yeah.
Facilitating a guided meditation.
Yeah. I was like, oh, okay. I think when I started, I was like, oh, I want to do that too. Like, I wish like I could do that too. Yeah. Oh, it's all gonna come up. Some of us got together into a kirtan group, and we started singing together, and we started sharing our trauma. And we didn't know each other's last names. We didn't know where each other lived.
We didn't know anyone's age.
Yeah.
We didn't know
jobs.
What jobs. Yeah. We didn't know what that was. We just knew like, I know your soul.
Yes.
I know your deepest like whatever difficulty you're going through right now, like your family issues. But like, oh, what's your last name? I actually don't know.
Yes. It's like I was gonna. I'm telling people about like like these amazing people that I just met, and like what a fun time I had with them, and it was so beautiful. And I'm like, oh, actually I have no idea what they do for work.
Yeah, my mom's like, how are they? I don't know. What do they do? I don't know. She's like, what do you know? I was like, I had a great time.
Yes.
We sang together.
Yeah. I think that was pretty much it. Like we had a great time singing together and pouring our hearts out. Yes, so that's
so 2021 was
timeline.
Like the building up, right?
Yeah.
Of like meeting up a lot.
Yeah.
And I remembered I was still feeling a bit. I didn't know how to make closer friendships. So it took me a longer time because I sort of already knew that you, Ida or Steph or Pauline, you're already hanging out a bit more. I'm jumping a bit ahead already, but I remember like Steph was like, come join. And we're like, no, I don't know. Like, am I, you know? And I just really, it took a lot of Steph just like, just let's meet. And I was like, oh, okay.
I think like, because like maybe you're already closer to Steph in some ways, and then it's like, I think for me, I was kind of starting, like I only knew Steph, but not very well. We had some conversations here and there, but not really like, you know, not yet the...
And yet we bore our soul to each other at Curtain,
Yes.
at Voices of the Wild.
Yeah. I think I remember that you were there at the session that Ida led about Dharma, no? Yes. Yeah, I feel like that was quite powerful.
Oh, that has guided me since.
Yeah?
Yeah. I drank so much chai that year.
From Chai Baba. Yes. Like Chai Baba became a literal favorite. But yeah, I think...
Chai Baba, like, hey.
Maybe next time we drink Chai Baba. Trishnu.
Trishnu, yes. Trishnu. Oh my god, I love Chai Baba so much. I haven't had it in so long.
I know. I keep thinking that I've been trying to perfect my chai recipe.
Okay.
I think I'm like almost there. But
Chai Baba becoming for you.
But you know, I think like I can only make like one cup or 2 cups at most. Yeah.
Talking about chai,
yes.
Shall we introduce today's tea also?
Yes.
Right? A nice hot steaming cup of tea. It's the Pukka Love tea.
Yes. What do we love about this?
It's caffeine free. I can sleep tonight.
Okay.
It's a very soft spot in my heart because if we were to then move forward in the timeline, 31st December 2021, I held my very own like New Year's Eve countdown meditation at Tiawa. And I basically, like, I think for me that was like the biggest achievement in terms of inner critic, in terms of like, can I do this? Who am I to do this? And also maybe having people who actually wanted to count down in the way that I wanted to, which is without booze, without partying, and meditating, and the proceeds all went to like a charity, and we started the new year with like good karma, I suppose. And then I served this at the end, and then yeah, so I was like, and I think
I didn't come.
So went on a date, right?
Yes, I did, but like we had met earlier in the day, but
we did. Yeah, so yeah, I think this particular tea, like every time I see it, I'm like, and I think of community, I think of people who come together for like a shared vision, and shared vision, aligned intentions, and then you just create something beautiful.
Yeah. Did you ever thought or imagine that, like, you would have this group, like at this point in your life?
Our friendship group, right?
Yeah.
No. I think I had this, like, I always thought this was in my 20s, right? I was like, there was a moment I was like, I looking at my friend group, and I was like, so I guess these are my friends, you know, these are all going to be my close friends. We are going to be friends forever, and, you know, they will be like my bridesmaid at my wedding, and then you'll see me through all of life, and then that's it. A big part was like, yay, you know, comfort, like, I know who my friends are, but there was this small part of like, is that it?
Yeah.
That can't be right.
Yeah.
It's a bit of like a resignation of like, I guess, you know, this is what my friends are who my friends are gonna be. And I mean, disclaimer, I love all of my friends, even like that I made before my mid-20s, and they are still very much a large part of my life. It was just the idea of, can you find that sort of deep connection, shared vision perhaps, or like maybe it's just something, the idea of just, you know, meeting more people, and can you deepen that friendship? Yeah,
I used to have a list of like who I would invite to my wedding.
But like, who are my bridesmaids?
Okay, yeah, I mean like bridesmaids are kind of like obvious. Like I have, as in, I mean, I also have my sisters, right? Yeah, but then I don't know.
My list has changed.
Yeah, so that's. I mean, I haven't updated the bridesmaids list, but then I have. I think I had a list for people I would invite to my wedding, right? And because I didn't want I mean, my vision is still not to have a fairly large wedding. So, like, I wanted to make a list of people of that, like, I actually cared about, that I really wanted to celebrate me at, like, my wedding, right? And I don't think I had more than 20. Recently, though, when I went on a vacation with my best friend, we came across this this mansion that you could rent out for a thing. And then she's like, oh, you know, it sleeps like 12 people comfortably. And I said, then she looked at me and said, like, you could fit 12 people. And then I started like counting down like the 12 people, and I'm like, oh, actually I can fit 12 people
and more.
Yeah, and more. I mean, and this is just like, you know, my bridal party and not even like the wedding list yet, right? Yeah, so that's what I mean when I feel like the entire, I guess, trajectory, but also like the way that like my circle has expanded, like post-COVID, has like is completely different. Yeah, and I had a much smaller group of friends. Even when I started uni, I had this sort of, for the first 3 years at least, I had, basically I hung out with the same 3 people, like, all the time. They were my classmates from JC. And then only in my honors year did I make a little more friends.
Honor student.
And then, well, not a very good one, but yeah. So, and then and then like I had like a little more friends, and it turns out that many people thought that I was aloof, and it was a thing that I maintained throughout for like a lot of my years, because maybe I had a fear of intimacy.
Oh, dabbing into it now.
And like being close to people, right? And the friendships that I had were circumstantial and, what do you call that? Like
trauma bonding?
No, not necessarily trauma bonding, but like because like we were in the same class, or because like
proximity.
Proximity based like friendships most of the time. But then finding you all and suddenly having a friendship that feels like it's been decades long, and not in a bad way, but in a knowing that these people have my back, knowing that these people know the depths of me, like, it's like life changing.
Okay, so maybe like if you people who are just like tuning in, right, and then they're like thinking about their own friendships.
Yeah.
If we were to sort of demarcate what are the differences, friendships that we've probably made, we've had from school.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
How is that different from friends that you make after you outside of work, outside of school?
Yeah.
Because then that takes a lot more effort. It takes a lot more probably compatibility.
Yeah.
And
interesting. Okay.
Yeah. And like a decision to like, hey, I do want to spend more time with this person.
Yeah.
And not because of obligation from like shared memories from years ago.
Yeah.
It's brand new. It's like 2 people who are like, I recognize that I want to spend more time with you.
I recognize, honestly, it's more like I recognize a soulmate, and there's nothing that can stop me from like hanging out with this person more. Yeah. And I think that's the thing, right? Like, it's really like a soulmate type connection, more than anything else. And which is not to say that like all of your other friendships are like not soulmate type connections, because I feel that they are, because but I also feel that there's something to be said about people coming in and out of your life as well. Honestly, I don't know how long this will last. Yeah.
And
right?
I mean, we've both experienced friendships that have, been together for a while and parting.
Yeah.
Friendships for a season.
Yeah.
I've learned that the painful way, which we'll get to in another episode.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's we don't know. We really don't know.
Yeah, I think yesterday when we were like kind of planning out what we were going to talk about today, we talk about like all of these assumptions that we had about friendships, right?
And friendships, particularly after a certain age.
Yeah, after 30.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wyn, do you want to share how old you are? I'm 36 again.
I'm 33.
Okay, yeah. So I think I read somewhere, and I think like it stayed with me for quite some time, that like the friends that are probably gonna stay with you like the longest are people that you make in college or like uni. And I think this is like a North American context probably, and then those that you make at your first workplace. And I did meet like great friends in my first workplace. I ended up living with like the friend that I made at work, who was also like a mutual friend of another friend. I held that assumption, and I didn't know how to be friends, or like I think I was always kind of seeking like to see whether like I could have newer friends, or like friends that could be interesting and like add another dimension to my life. Yeah,
I think for me it was like this thought came to me in maybe post uni, where I was like, how do I make close friendships with new people? And this had been after you graduate. You're no longer in the school context where you meet each other every day, where you have to bond just by the circumstances that you are living through, right? So yeah, I was thinking like, and you do know that, okay, yes, I go to hobbies, I go to workshops and classes, and you sort of, or you go to the gym, you'll say hi, it's very surface level. And I remember feeling Jen just like always running back to my friend group for like safety, of like, oh no, only these people will know me. So this was through an ex-boyfriend, where he introduced a friend to me, and we had so much similarities of things that we love to do, interests, and then we just basically just like, and it's like, oh my god, like it's a like, at that point of time it was like we get each other so well. And then we went on holidays together. We had ruptures, which is part of every relationship. So we experienced all of that, and we got so close to the point that I was like, wow, it is possible. And then I was like, okay, so this would be like that one friendship after graduation that I'm close with. And then,
but then now to have five,
yeah. And then like a whole new group then came up, and I was like, wow, it's really marvelous in a very miraculous way.
Yeah, it really is. Which is I think the point, right? Like I think our own friendship journey, like, and with the group as well, I think it has shown me that it's like your assumptions don't really matter at all about anything. Yeah.
I think the people who are meant to come into your life will come into your life some way or form.
Yeah, okay. And like the universe really conspires to do that.
Friends were asking me like, oh, but how do I get this group of friends that you have? So, and then I was like, I can't give an answer, because it's just doing what I want to do.
Yeah.
And somehow they come along the way.
Yeah. And like it was, I think the pull was magnetic, right? It's like I kept saying yes to like hanging out. We kept saying yes to the initial activities that like brought us closer.
All the different circles, the workouts.
Yeah, the workouts. We should do that again sometime.
No, but okay, so I mean, going back to it, like I guess there were things internally within me that I had to work on.
Yes.
Of like self-limiting beliefs of like, why would they want to hang out with me? Yeah, and then like yeah. Yeah, so it was
because you're an amazing person. Like you're really generous, and like you're like, you're so witty.
But no, so all these were things that if I did not work through it, it would have been a self-sabotaging thing. Wouldn't have been able to meet and hang out with the group.
I will also say that I think all of us were going through an immense transformation, like an inner transformation, right? we were all actively working on ourselves.
I think that was
Or like it was sort of like the catalyst plus like having that container as well. I think like we were all kind of like in the stages of like being ready for like that massive transformation to happen within ourselves and in our lives. And somehow the group provided a safe container for us to be able to continue doing that, like because we were all sort of going through the same things. It's weird, like it's a support group for inner transformation.
growth.
Yeah, growth.
How did we go from attending circles to maybe hanging out a bit more?
Yeah.
To then now.
I do remember there was like a little like tentativeness and like hesitation to sort of like hanging out a bit more. I think it started with like, oh, shall we get dinner after Kirtan? Oh, shall we order food? And then it somehow it ended up like, oh, let's celebrate someone's birthday.
Oh my god, I think I know what got us closer. Rupture got us closer.
That was 22? Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That was
Penang.
post.
After that,
Yeah.
we started hanging out a lot more.
Post rupture.
Post rupture, we were trauma bonding.
Team anxious.
Yeah, we were team anxious and we were trying to like make the sense of
a lot of things.
Of all this, because like the group had become so loving, like it was a space for us to, you know, run from the world. And
it was an escape.
Yeah.
It was an escape. We're calling this Bonbons and Bonbons, and like part of the reason is that we wanted to try different bonbons during each like episode. And today we have Mr. Bucket, Bonbons from Mr. Bucket Chocolaterie.
I've never heard of them before, and I also didn't know what a bonbon was until Maryam told me. I was just like, Bonbons and Bonbons. I was like, I love it. I don't know what it is. Let me Google.
It's the alliteration.
It is.
Yeah.
And I think that's why I really enjoy our conversations, because there's that added layer of like literary snob.
Yeah, I think there's a little like cultural snobbery going on in our friendship. That it's so embarrassing, but yeah, I think there's a little cultural snobbery going on. But anyway, Bonbons, it's the Christmas edition.
So, okay, Bonbons and Bonbons was like the tagline for Love Fest that we wanted we wanted to organize, because Bonbons, sweet treats, and then Bonbon, which is a good word, which I learned from my friend.
Yeah, like a witty remark or something, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's part of like the beauty of words of affirmation or affection to your friends. When you express how you feel to someone in words, it's a really nice like thing to receive, right? Like a treat. And
and it goes deeper than I send memes.
Yeah.
It becomes a lot more intentional, and
there's almost like a materiality to it.
Ooh, little cultural snob right there.
Sorry, I think part of my thing is that like I want to use I don't want to dumb things down for our audience. I think our audience is smart and is able to receive like 5-syllable words with ease. Anyway, I want to eat chocolate.
We have our moons in Taurus as well, as you can see all these nice texture, materials, candles, and set design. And we love chocolate.
So I think this one's eggnog.
Yuzu tart, hazelnut, eggnog, Mont Blanc, raspberry, fig and balsamic. My gosh,
I want to try that.
And then peppermint cookie.
Yep, maybe I don't.
No,
need
yeah,
that.
I don't.
Oh no. I think we have similar. Do we? Not really.
We love soup.
No, but we all love soup. Yeah. So what do you want to try first? I feel like we can bite into one and give the other half, if you don't mind that.
Eggnog is interesting.
Yeah, let's do eggnog.
Yeah. And then I think fig and balsamic
is
so...
Yeah. See? That's the reason why I think we're doing this together.
Happy holidays, everybody. Who are you spending your happy holidays with? Eggnog, right? Oatmeal cookie.
And gingerbread.
Gingerbread.
Which is like my favorite thing.
Is it? Yeah, gingerbread.
I love gingerbread.
You make a gingerbread like
House? Oh my god, yes.
Okay, next episode.
Okay.
I remember watching this TikTok.
Yeah.
So this father was talking to his kid, and then asking the kid, "Oh, why you want to do this? Or why you taking up like, I don't know, crochet or like softball?" And then the kid just went, "I want to meet new people and do cool shit."
Yeah.
I was like, yeah.
I just want to do cool shit now.
Yeah.
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 Also, yeah, we want to meet new people.
You know, by the way, I love those memes where there's a silent laugh between two friends.
Yeah?
Like, it's so funny that there's no audio.
Yeah.
It's just that.
The next one we're going to try is fig and balsamic. It's so beautiful.
Wait, let me see. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
How do you know what Mr. Bucket?
I saw them when I walked, like after Pilates, and I was in search of food. I just saw, it's near a studio that I go to.
Where is this at?
I think this one's at Sin Ming, but then I think there's also one at Dempsey.
More jelly-like.
Yeah.
I love it when there's a lot of texture in my food.
With different textures. I don't know, sometimes I'm a mush girl.
Really?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I'm not a, like, it has to be a different...
Thank you.
I'm not like, oh, that needs to be crunch, that needs to be...
I love a good crunch.
I do, but...
Like, I'll add cabbage in mashed potato kind of crunch. Like, a little crunch.
What is cabbage? Mashed potato?
Okay, so... Because you haven't eaten KFC with me. KFC, you want to sponsor. So I do this...
We go Malaysia KFC, yeah. It's nice.
Really? Oh. I do this thing where I'll add the coleslaw into the mashed potato and I mix it and it's very nice. Everyone gives me the same face.
Okay, you see, like, I'll give you the face, but then, like, do you think I would say no when you ask me to, like, try this?
True.
Yeah.
Good point.
So, anyway, fun chocolate.
Bonbons break over.
Yeah.
Bonbon break over.
In February next year, we'll be celebrating 3 years of friendship. Ish, yeah. Which feels nice, but no, but honestly, celebrating 3 years of friendship, which has felt like a lot longer in like a good way, right? And I think there was a point where, at first it was just like, oh, like this is such a great like group of people to hang out with, but eventually we started deepening relationships with each other individually. Yes. Ooh. And I think like that was the moment like a lot of things started to coalesce and like become deeper for each of us, right?
Because I also do recognize like, and this was also something I witnessed in my own bigger group of friends, another group of friendship whereby you sort of know, yes, the whole group comes together, but there's always like, oh, these two pairings.
Yeah.
Right? Or like these two are, oh yeah, no, these two are always closer. Or when the whole group meets, these two always sit together. They always walk ahead of each other, with each other.
Yeah.
And you sort of know how it breaks out into different factions.
Yeah, and I think I like the idea that we're not a clique.
Okay, so for me, it's like when the big group comes together, like we became friends because we're part of this big group, right?
Yeah.
And how we have delved into the individual dynamics, deepening it with each other.
Yeah.
Because that takes effort. That I mean, it's not about like, oh, it's a lot of work and effort, but it does take a certain amount of effort to like, hey, let's meet up, let's go for this together, let's do this together, and let's hang out and sort of create the time and space for that deepening to happen.
Yeah, like, and I would say that like each of my friendship with like each of you in the group is different, right?
Yeah,
and like the dynamics of each pairing is different.
Yeah.
And it's also kind of fun to see that, and then it's also fun to see like the group dynamics as well. Yeah. And do you want to talk a bit about our dynamic?
Yeah, sure. What a great segue.
Our dynamic. It's interesting. Is this?
Is this?
We have actually...
We've got snacks, we've got food,
Yeah.
we've got warmth, we've got aesthetic, sensorial, compatible. I keep going back to like the compatible part.
I honestly, when I was getting dressed and I was like thinking about all like the stuff that we're going to talk about, I was like, you know what? Actually, like we would, like if we were into each other, we would date. Because there's like the level of compatibility. Like I want to say, like that. I'm not really into girls, so.
Like comes back to like the beginning. I don't know where this road's gonna take us. Like, well, down the aisle.
Yeah, but no. I think it's more the fact that I think again on like what we were talking about last night is that we seem to have very similar like reference points somehow. Even though our backgrounds are quite different, eh?
But I guess we do love the written word quite a bit.
We do love the written word, yeah, and I think we kind of enjoy pop culture stuff.
Okay, I do realize if I look at the memes that I do send you, right, it's also
it's a very specific genre of things.
Okay, so right, to find out what is your dynamic with your friends, you look at the memes that you send each other.
Yeah.
Because the memes that I send to Pauline is very different from the memes that I send to you.
You nasty bitches. Oh, that's your dynamic with Berlin. Yeah, nasty bitches.
We are dirty, dirty girls. Filthy. Then for us, I feel it's a lot of, I think pop culture references, because I feel I don't share that with the rest of the group. I mean, the monologue of the Prada one.
Yeah.
Like, okay, Maryam will get this.
We're like, you know what? We're like almost like rom-com. Is the rom-com main character energy.
And we know that out of the group, this person would get me. And I think that's important to know that not every friend will get you in the same way. Yeah. Friendships can't be easily replaced because of that reason.
Yes, yeah.
But I guess it's that who out of like my groups of friends or my different friendships would get me in the way that I am
like this.
Approaching this particular topic.
Yeah, but I'm wondering whether it has to do with the same moon, being in the same moon sign, right? Oh, we find safety in the same way. Ah. Ew. It's the.
But it's not just.
But it's not just that either.
We also established before that astrological compatibility is just one.
Yeah. Okay.
What I like about you, right? I remember I was journaling this the other day.
Okay.
And then I think lovable snob came up.
Oh yes. Just so snobby, just in the right way.
Just in the right way, and then I think I remember saying that I felt if I were to use a word to describe you, it would be wise.
Oh.
Yeah. In terms of your calling out, which I feel has been the part of our friendship group that I love a lot, which is the keeping each other accountable on our own personal growth and gentle, loving call out. Yours is one of the gentler ones. I think one of the moments was feeling very held, but you would not give me the answer. Right? And it was really just like me having to figure it out by myself, and you would just be like very patient with me and just be like,
do you remember what instance this was?
This was remember we met at Botanic Gardens?
Yes.
And I remember feeling like I have feeling ick, but I didn't know what it was. And then you were like, and I remember looking at you and you were like, no, you got to figure this out yourself. And I was like, just tell me the answer. Or, if your friends, they naturally want to help and so just give their opinion. But for you were just like, so what is it about? And I just keep going back to it. So I think that one was something that really stood out to me in terms of being wise and grounded.
I think for me, like what really strikes me about you is that you're always so willing to understand and not necessarily like so sometimes like we talk about stuff and you're like, oh, but like but what is this, and like you're willing to learn more about something that like you don't quite know about. And like I love that curiosity, I love that willingness to kind of like wanting to understand more and not just kind of like take what we say at like face value. Yeah. And to like, and to be able to question like your own opinions and like your own held beliefs, and be able to like to kind of like expand your perspective. And I genuinely love that, which I think has also, I mean, in addition to the fact that like you are an amazing and supportive friend, like so supportive of like all of your friends' works, and like so generous with your time and like presence and just support. Yeah. And like you always think of your friends like when you travel. Yeah. And so welcoming. Yeah. And I think that's part of the thing that has like your willingness to kind of like question your own beliefs, right? And like make space for that has sort of like helped us kind of like get over our triggers. Or yeah, shall we go into that?
Sure.
Like honestly, I'm surprised that we've gotten to this point where we're doing this work together. I think that we both like to be right. I think out of like all of the dynamics in the group, I find the one
trigger the shit out of me.
Not just trigger the shit out of me, but I find like it was challenging at the start.
Oh, very.
Yeah, like I found it personally challenging because it boils down to that thing that we both want to be right, right? And
you've dysregulated my nervous system so much.
I don't think I have. I'm so sorry.
No, but I mean, it's all part of being. It's all part of when you are triggered by someone.
Yeah.
Yeah, and especially if it goes into like your deeper values, political views.
Correct. Yeah.
So
we have quite different political views. We had some pretty intense discussions.
Yeah.
I feel though that like I used to hold very strong views as well, and
I think we both still do.
We both still do, but I don't feel as strongly about there being one way to approach it. I think one of the assumptions that I held for myself was that I could never be very close friends with someone who held very different political beliefs from me, right? But then our eventual friendship changed that, like honestly broke down that entire assumption. And that you could still really care for and love someone very deeply, regardless of what their beliefs are, which means to say it's like love is really like a very powerful force in the world. Yeah,
for sure. I mean, we mentioned the word safety quite a bit, right? But for me, it was like, regardless of my opinions about views that I have about certain things, even if there is the potential of a rupture, there is trust in knowing that there is something much deeper holding all our friendships, or holding our friendship, of that there's that love that, you know, at the end of the day, maybe it's really that thing of like, because of the love, you don't need to be right.
Yeah. And honestly, I think back to like I just think about the contrast between like our earlier conversations, right, to the one that we had very recently after we went to the beach. Just being able to have that conversation where I was like jokingly telling you about like my experience of a certain party, right? And then like laughing about it, and then like joking that, oh, you're working for one side, I'll like work for the other, right?
Yeah,
like that's I think that like that is,
it's like we can joke about it now.
We can joke about it now, right? And like I don't feel like, but I think it's also because like we've both changed, grown, and that we like
love each other.
We love each other. Like what are we arguing about, really?
Yeah. And also that comes with a lot of also reprogramming of like why being that kind of like, you know, tribal mindset.
Yeah.
And also recognizing that yes, there's all this, but at the end of the day,
well, I think
love.
maybe you should read my newest essay,
oh,
which I'm too scared to publish yet.
then how am I supposed to read it?
I'm too scared. Like I'm still working up the courage to publish it. Yes. Anyway. That feels like a nice note to end on. So just to point out that
cute, guys.
So see you next time on another edition of Bonbon
and Bonbon.
Bye.